Yeah.
Someone was still working, Steve.
Yeah. I know that feeling. Turn the switch off.
Working lunch.
Yeah, liquid lunch. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of working, let's go.
Thank you, Steve. Just starting off with some team news at Southampton. First of all, how was Danilo after coming off against Brentford?
Yeah, it's not as bad as what we feared, to be honest. I think when anyone comes off with the feeling that it's a muscle injury, you sometimes sort of fear the worst, especially with the timing of the season and how little time is left. But scan results were fairly positive. We're hoping that it will return sooner rather than later.
Do you expect it to be in the squad for Southampton?
Not sure, to be honest, but like I said, we was a bit inconclusive really on when he'll be back and the timing of days, if you like, between Brentford and Southampton, and also the timing of the season. You know, you're maybe doing things slightly different, but difficult to say a definite yes or no.
Just check on a few other players. Brennan Johnson, you mentioned.
Yeah, similar to Danilo, really. Yeah, so a little bit inconclusive, but again, everyone's doing everything to get as many players available as possible.
And just checking on Gustavo Scarpa as well. How's his recovery?
Yeah, he's getting closer. Gustavo obviously been out with a calf injury and has proved to be a little while now. And but he's back on the grass and he's not in full training yet. But hopefully again sooner rather than later.
And just finally on the players, Dean Henderson coming out this week about his injury and operation. And quite gutting for him because he was obviously a big part of this team early in the season. Yeah,
and with Dean as well, he'd sort of obviously he's on loan from Manchester United, but he'd really bought into the football club and even the city. You know, sort of moving here and making it a permanent base for the loan showed that he really wanted to be part of on and off the pitch. So we've had great commitment from Dean, even when he hasn't been available in the last few months. So it's a pity that his season has absolutely ended through surgery, but he has to now focus on his recovery. And we have a good working relationship with United and communication, and obviously it's still fresh after the injury in terms of what the plans will be. But we wish him well really on his recovery.
Just looking at this final stretch of games, you've spoken a lot recently about belief. I wonder how you manage that belief after the highs of Brighton and then kind of after the Brentford result with so many games. In a short space of time.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. You know, the very contrasting emotions in a few days. You know, we were desperate to get that first win for a while against Brighton, and I think you could see that. Even though we enjoyed the win, of course, we never got too high from it because we knew that the next game was coming quickly, and you could see how we played the game, apart from how it ended, that there was a real determination to try and get another positive result, and then obviously that wasn't to be, and it was a difficult one for all of us to take. But as you said in the question, it's keeping the balance between the highs and the lows and carrying on. You know, there's the next game is still going to be the next game, and the importance is what was always going to be really high. We would have loved to have gone into it with a better result than what we ended up getting at Brentford, but we haven't, and we have to and we have picked ourselves up and get on with it.
Play Southampton on the Monday. Is it an advantage playing after everyone, or can it be a bit, depending on the result?
Depends.
Weekend, basically?
Yeah, but like with this Premier League schedule, you sort of get used to playing at I won't say abnormal times, but times where can have a real influence, or other results and games and schedules of them can have a real influence. So. It's just our turn to be last in this round of games, and sometimes we've been first, and sometimes we've been the classic 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and it's in amongst everything else. It's just like everything. You just have to, it's coming. You have to plan accordingly, believe in your plan, stick to it, and when the game comes in the end, when the ref blows the whistle, you still have to go and play. So I'll be honest with you, I wish we were playing sooner, not because there's other games being played, I wish we were desperate to play. And we've there's a real good mood in the camp again, and the game can't really come quick enough.
Just finally from me, Steve, it was announced that Daniel Pedence wasn't going to get charged by the FA after the alleged spitting incident towards Brennan.
We haven't really thought about it, to be fair. It was dealt with on the day, and didn't really become our issue after that, and it's not something we've even discussed. So I wasn't aware of that, and like I said, we're focusing on ourselves and what we're trying to do. Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
Steve, afternoon.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. 13 Premier League games without a clean sheet. Obviously, that's making it harder for you to win games, naturally. What are you doing to address that? Because that would really help you.
Yeah, I think it's first of all, it's something that you face up to, like all of the things that haven't gone to plan this year. It's something you don't hide away from and ignore questions or swerve questions. You say, yeah, that's something that we would have loved to have been better stat and would still like to improve on it, even though there's 4 games left, and would be really helpful. But I think you have to analyse types of goals and sources of goals, and that's what we're trying to do. And then what you do, you look at the next opponent and try and match it all up. So I think for sure you do get punished in this league, for any mistakes, any not being perfect in doing something, talking about conceding goals, so defending, the chances of the coming back to punish you is a lot higher than any other league, I think. So they're just constant reminders that we have to be, at our very best as much as we can, and if we do that, like you said, you give yourselves the best chances of getting the results. And when we have had positive results this year, that's been the case. So like everything else, we just got to keep going. We've got to keep believing. We're at home in the next game. Everybody knows that the atmosphere that we've had and even the positivity that we're really grateful to, and it's been a massive help how the supporters have been this year, because it can be and often is very different. But for us, we are always looking forward, learning along the way, not hiding away from things we haven't done well, but always trying to rectify as much as we can to continue to improve. And improving next up is against Southampton at the City Ground, which we know will be the atmosphere that we need, and we've got to do our part on the pitch in terms of creating our own atmosphere on there, and that's where the focus is.
Of course, you found a way to win against Southampton back in January, was it? What do you take from what's happened since?
Felt about 3 years ago, yeah.
What do you take from that, maybe, that you can make to work in your advantage again?
Yeah, I think a lot of things are different for both teams, and the obvious is home and away. So no, I wouldn't say we're looking at that too much. I think it's more about the present. It's more about the context of the situation, where the team's at, and what we want to do in the game. And not really looking back at that at all, really.
Sam Allardyce has joined the fray. One of your rivals. They're obviously hoping there's that new manager bounce, so it may yet have an impact on you. You got any thoughts about his return at this late stage?
Well, I think like you're right. They are a rival at the moment amongst some other teams as well, and of course we'll all have an impact on each other in terms of what we all do. But what we're just focusing on is ourselves, and in the end, that's going to determine where we end up, as will all the other teams around us, and even the teams in different parts of the league. We're all still in a position really where we can look after our own business, and that will be the most important thing on final results. So there's enough to focus on internally, and that's what we are doing.
Although he is a big presence, isn't he, in lots of ways, and he's not been backwards and coming forwards to express his faith in his own abilities, shall we say? I mean, have you got any thoughts about what he brings to the party, as it were?
Well, like I said, we're focused on ourselves. I have respect for every manager, and I have to say particularly the ones who have been doing it for so many games and years, because I having done it for a few years myself now, and I'm trying to understand what it takes. The guys who have done it over a long period of time is at any level, by the way. You'll only get respect from me. However, my focus and our focus here is on us, on Nottingham Forest, on the next game, one of 4 that we are determined to do really well in, and that's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Last one from me. Obviously, we're very aware of the difficulties you've had away from home. Does it therefore put an added burden and added pressure on these home games? I mean, you've risen to that challenge numerous times.
No, it doesn't. It's never a burden. It's never a burden to play at the City Ground. It's always an honour and a privilege to be part of what the home game at the City Ground is, and to think that we're there when games are even more important is something that we have to relish and be proud to be part of. I've been lucky enough now, even though I've only been here 18 months, so we've had some big games there last season and this season, and what's been brilliant so far is that everybody in the stadium has risen to the challenge. Whether their support, what we've got to do is rise to the challenge of the game and dealing with Southampton, our opponent, having the impact that we want to have as our own team, because we know when we get it right, the supporters always get it right, and it becomes a difficult place to play, but that's in our hands to create that, and we don't take it for granted. You've already said we've had much more positive results at home than away, but we don't take it for granted. We don't think it's just going to happen, because all of them positive results has been really well earned, but it hasn't been through the lack of support, because it's been incredible, and even in the games where we've been fighting back and trying to get results, if anything, in the more difficult games at home, the support has been even better, and we're lucky that that's the case. So we'll do our very best to honour that and to make sure that that we make the fans proud.
All the very best.
You too. Thank you.
Hi, Steve. I just wondered, we touched on the context there. We touched on it being at home. We touched on there being 4 left. When you look at those 4, is this the match you've got to target?
It's the next match, and I think there's been a lot of said about a must-win game. What we're focusing on, the mindset we've got, is how we win, because we desperately want to win, and that's a massive objective for the group, the only objective. But it's the how we win is the important, because that's the bit that will make it happen. So yeah, that's where we're at. So you're right to say there's 4 games left, but we were only focused on the next one, because out of the 4 they give you the same 3 points, or not 1 or 0. But everything's now on Southampton, the City Ground, and doing whatever it takes, whatever that is, to get the result that we want and need.
You joke there that January feels like about 3 years ago. Have you felt these last few months aging you?
It was a joke, so don't look into it too much. But yeah, it's I love working here. It's and actually, when you don't get the results that you want and you go on a poor run, I always think I want to be more visible, more transparent, and the best version that I can be, and I want the lads to be the same, because there's if you like Brentford, for example, could be a difficult defeat to take, and it was and it is, but the only way to deal with it is to respond in the next game, or even before that, in the next training session, in the next meeting, in the next wherever at the training ground. It's and I've said all along this season, for me personally, it's easy to show yourself in a good light when you're winning games, and it's been very important to me to show a good light in difficult moments and stand up and be counted, because I think that's what a real leader does, and I think that's what you should do as well. So I've enjoyed all of that you know, even though sometimes you don't enjoy the results, but I've enjoyed standing up and being counted for you know, this football club, and that will continue till the very end.
Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you.
Cameras. Oh, Jonathan.
Steve,
Hi, John.
do you envisage the possibility of working with Dean again in the future?
Hard to say. I've enjoyed working with him. We've all enjoyed Dean and the personality that he is, and obviously what you guys see and the supporters see mainly is when he's been in goal for us. But there's more to him than that. He's a real good professional, really cares, fantastic mentality of winning and wanting to be the best. And so we've really enjoyed working with him, and we're grateful to what he's given us and what he will continue to give us, because he's still, I'm sure, will be around and quite visible. Like I said, we're the medical teams particularly working together with United and ourselves in what's right for him and what they want our contribution to be, if anything, because obviously he's a Man United player. But I know that he will be with us until the end in terms of support and what he would want. So I'm sure you'll see him around at some stage.
Is Ryan in a position where he can start? Ryan Yates?
We'll see. We managed to, obviously, it was great to get him on. We could only play him for a certain amount last week, which we maximised. In terms of getting, it's just great to get him back in the mix, as it has been with one or two others in recent weeks, the likes of Cheku as well, Taiwu. So yeah, he's certainly getting back up to real speed, and we'll see what contribution he's allowed to make in the next few games.
Thanks, Jonathan. Can we have cameras off, please? Written section embargo till 10:30.